It has been a busy edition of the Sports Cubicle and Sports from the Couch here on WCPT 820 AM, HeartlandSignal.com, WSBC 1240 AM Chicago, and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado, and I got to do something pretty fun yesterday. I was at the United Center. Yes, all the snow has been falling around the United States, and it was a nightmare to get out of the UC. But inside the arena, it was all good vibes and warm feelings as Derrick Rose and the number one jersey was put amongst the rafters, and he will forever live in history with the Chicago Bulls. And this story comes to us from ESPN's Jamal Collier. Chicago Bulls retired Derrick Rose's number one jersey after win. The Bulls retired Derrick Rose's number one jersey Saturday night after their 106-103 victory against the Celtics. Rose grew emotional throughout the ceremony, wiping tears from his eyes as former teammates Taj Gibson and Luol Deng provided the opening remarks. Rose then delivered a tearful speech honoring his mother Brenda, his brothers, some ex-teammates in attendance, and a sold-out crowd in his hometown of Chicago, as nearly all the fans remained in their seats for more than an hour after the game. Rose became the fifth Bulls player in history to have his number retired, joining Jerry Sloan's number 4, Bob Love's number 10, Michael Jordan's number 23, and Scottie Pippen's number 33. The Bulls also have banners that honor former coach Phil Jackson and former general manager Jerry Krause. Quote, "This journey was never about me," Rose said before the win. "It was about creating the synergy that somehow people from the city can pull from. And somehow I was that beacon or that vessel for that from hooping." Despite temperatures dropping to single digits in Chicago on Saturday, fans lined up outside the United Center hours before tip-off, waiting for an early glimpse of the star of the night. A black t-shirt with Rose's name and number on the back was draped on every seat in the arena, and Bulls players wore the same shirt for their pregame warm-ups. Rose stepped onto the court about an hour before the game as fans frantically lined up to take pictures and video. Rose shot around with his son while his family members and former teammates gathered along the baseline at center court. All this, the moment, I'm still trying to take it in, Rose said. Just feeling grateful, knowing the weather conditions out there, knowing that it is a Chicago thing to even show up here, to fight through that and still go to an event is huge. And you can read the entire article over by Jamal Collier. Chicago Bulls retired Derrick Rose number one jersey after win over at ESPN. And yeah, if you're watching us over on the YouTube at the Sports Cubicle, I have that black t-shirt. Let me pull it up right here for the streamers. And it is really cool. You have the Chicago number one and Derrick Rose right here. So that was a cool giveaway. And if you're watching this, I'm going to put some of the pictures up. Check out the YouTube channel. I put up shorts of the game-winning buzzer beater and the jersey, the banner going up into the rafters. So let's talk about the night itself. Super cold. We got there. It was me and my uncle. Shout out to my Theo Jeff, who flew from New York, and we went to this game. Great atmosphere. So driving to the arena, no snow. We knew the snow was coming. It's all over America right now, especially the Eastern and down in the Southeast. But we get to the arena. It's already pretty packed. And if you're at the United Center, you know, you go in through all the normal gates, and then there's the shop entrance now, which is how you get into see the Michael Jordan statue and whatnot. All of this was lined around the arena. The arena opens around 5 p.m. We were in line at 4:30, and people had been out there in the cold for about an hour already. Then you get into the arena, and they had a lot of Derrick Rose collection stuff, this collab, special edition, you know, Leatherman jackets, jerseys and t-shirts and hats, all gone. Sold out online. People were waiting in line for hours. It was almost a 2-hour line to check out. But then the arena itself was decked out, amazing graphics, and you could just feel the emotion and the vibe of the arena. It was really cool also then to start seeing some of the old players from some of those great Bulls teams that they didn't quite get to the championship level and get to championship number 7, but made such an impact post Jordan. And we saw Joakim Noah. We saw Luol Deng, Captain Kirk Heinrich. I mean, I spotted Rip Hamilton and just plenty of guys. And the montages and the videos from Scottie Pippen and from Michael Jordan. And it was a true love letter to Derrick Rose and to the city of Chicago. And the game itself was awesome. It was a back and forth between the Celtics and the Bulls. The Bulls came out and hit some big shots, watching them hit a game winner. And it being on the night that you're wearing the City Edition and you're about to put Derrick Rose's number in the rafters. You have all these great former Chicago Bulls, beloved Chicago Bulls. It was almost a storybook ending. And then the ceremony itself, hearing Joakim be the MC, Coach Tibbs being, obviously we see him on TV, but being so, having such a personality and demanding the arena itself, and Luol Deng and Taj Gibson being so emotional. And I will also say this. I've always been a huge Derrick Rose fan. Watching him grow up, we're the same age roughly. So always just watching him through Simeon, watching him on WCIU, Channel 26. Shout out to all those who know. And the one thing is, Derrick was always so polite. Derrick always carried himself well, especially in the media. But he never was the guy who controlled a room that you could think would do a one-man show. And last night at the United Center, in front of 20,000 people, family and friends, former teammates, in his hometown, about to put his jersey up in the rafters next to Michael Jordan, Derrick Rose commanded the room. He was entertaining. He was emotional. He was funny. He was sad. He was hype. He was real. He was raw. And it's something I don't think we ever expected or we didn't see from Derrick outside of the court. Because when he played, he was all of that. And you've heard the stories in practice and in scrimmage and during games, but we never saw that with this on the microphone or right here in front of the camera. And I, and along with everybody who watched it and was in that arena, got to see what I believe was the man come out of his shell. Somebody who I want to hear more from, especially when it comes to the game of basketball. And it was a really wonderful night. And I can only compare it to when I went to see Chris Chelios get his jersey retired last year. And it's interesting how hockey and how the NHL and NBA do things, talk about different cultures and the way they handle their stars and their history. But the one thing the Blackhawks and Bulls do is they honor, as organizations, the city, the player, and the team. And last night was that. And I look back because I did a top 5 list of my favorite Bulls. And it's Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, 1 and 2. But Derrick Rose, to me, surpassed Scottie Pippen. Scottie lives there because of obviously how great he was and the legend and all the championships. But what Derrick meant, I don't think people who aren't from the city or love ball or love the NBA understand how dire things were at certain points for the Chicago Bulls. How we held on to Ben Gordon, Chris Duhon, Kirk Heinrich, and Luol Deng. Because the baby Bulls were this thing after Michael Jordan. I think about the Marcus Fizer year, the Eddie Robinson years, the Tyson and Eddie years, trading Ron Artest and Elton Brand, Brandon Miller. Like, there were some dark times during the Tim Floyd years. And then comes Scott Skiles. And then comes Thibodeau in those years. And what this Bulls team did to be the adversaries to the Miami Heat, to carry themselves the way we perceive Chicago would be if you were to manifest them as a team against the glitz and glamour of that Miami Heat team. And of course, they address the injury. But it's funny that without that injury, who knows how much of this happens? Because part of his great story and what makes it, in my opinion, and it may be corny and cheeseball, makes it such a Chicago story, was how long of a career he had after that. The amount of great moments he had after that, that he helped change a game for point guards, smaller players, for how we look at certain styles of game, and the love and adoration that he has from his peers. You know, I'm watching the video from Steph Curry to Russell Westbrook. This man who didn't go to an NBA Finals, but state champion, high school player of the year, college basketball player of the year, went to a national championship game, rookie of the year, all-star, all-team, MVP, conference finals appearance. It's a hell of a run. I had a wonderful time being there. And I think the lasting note I had from it was how beloved that team was, from the Noahs to the Derrick Roses and everybody in between, including that bench mob, that this city will embrace and love you if you give effort. And hell, if you do a little bit of winning, you'll live on forever. We got more coming up on this edition of the Sports Cubicle and Sports from the Couch on WCPT 820 AM, heartlandsignal.com, WSBC 1240 AM, Chicago, and on YouTube at the Sports Cubicle. I'm your host, Mike Mercado.